got a hat on and that. You like it? It's good, that. It's definitely not repurposed. Yeah, I was just saying I had little time to prepare for this stream, but what I have prepared over the last year are my opinions, which undoubtedly, and I'm sure you will agree, are correct. 1, 2 and stuff. Oh, is it making that rippling effect on your end as well? Yeah, this happened last time I played music on stream. It's like Twitch, it doesn't want my party streams to succeed. Not that this is a party, it's merely a giving of opinions. Well, I've got a couple of lists here. So we got the lists of the streamed games of the year. Oh, they fixed that, good. So we got the streamed games of the year and the platinums of the year. The platinums, probably no one is going to care about that, so I can rattle them off pretty quick because I did a lot of the platinum stuff off stream. Now, the music that's playing in the background here is actually from one of the games I did platinum this year. I did not stream it. I actually beat it last year at the end of December, but I didn't platinum until January 2nd. So it's still a platinum of this year. And that would be Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion. What? So we'll just rattle off. Let's rattle off the plats. I've got a playlist here, which hopefully the audio behaves. Playlists in the background of all the games on these two lists. And right now we're hearing some music from Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, right? I gotta say this game actually wins a second award. We'll do a couple of these, I think. This game...
Shut up in there, will you?
Hi Dark, how you doing? This game, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, wins an additional award for being the biggest surprise for how much fun I had with it. I got the PSP version when it came out. It's the only game, really, I ever bought on my PSP. I perhaps only bought a PSP for this game. And I really didn't like it all that much. Now, there's some problems from it that do persist. The dialogue is a bit clunky. Some of the stuff's a bit anime. The story isn't the best. The main villain is a complete idiot. But the fun factor of this game, the playability, the gameplay is way better and it's really enjoyable this time around. I said all this on the Final Fantasy VII ranking stream. I won't go into too much detail, but the platinum was really fun to get. So I'm going to give it best time. We're starting high. However, there is a game that follows it, right? For a bit of backstory, I didn't start streaming again until March or April because I wasn't able to earn money while I was living in this country at the time. Thankfully now I can become a millionaire here, but that hasn't happened yet. But I did attempt a platinum about 2 years prior to getting it for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered. But anyway, yeah. So that game, one of the trophies in it was stupidly long, laborious, hard, pointless, that it took so long for me to do. And whilst I was forcibly unemployed with being unable to do fun things like stream, I thought now's the time to clean up that last trophy, and so I did. However, it's going in there. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, stupid. Its platinum is stupid. Absolute trash of a plat. Right, next on the list, again, I was just, for the hell of it, whilst I was unemployed and stuff, World of Final Fantasy. Has anyone ever played this? Pokemon meets Final Fantasy. I can't say I fully recommend it. It's alright. It's an okay time killer, much like the actual Pokemon games, to be honest. As far as I'm concerned. I know you do like them, Dark. It's charming enough, but the gameplay wasn't there for me. Never heard of it. It's kind of interesting. Like, it's a good concept. It has all these little chibi characters from at least 2 from every Final Fantasy up to that point, which I think was 13. And then it has 2 main characters. They sort of have the main story, but they're helped along the way by these other... I think it's on just about everything, Dark. But yeah, you do collect Final Fantasy monsters through the game and use them in battle and stuff like that. It's an interesting concept, but I was just killing time. However, the platinum The platinum, it was okay. It was okay. There is no okay on here. I just say for the fact that I had to get through the game, I'm going to give it an oof. Next one's a cracker, though. Next one's a cracker. A Way Out, pretty easy. And it probably is going to end up in too easy. But it was fun to do because me and Shadow played it a year or two back when I was in the shed. Who remembers the shed? And then, yeah, we decided just to clean up the trophies. There really aren't that many. It's a pretty easy platinum. The Shed of Happiness. Hey, hello, Shadow. Fucking freezing cold shed, Dark. Well remembered. Honestly, I couldn't stop thinking of... If ever I think about the shed, all I think is about the electric heater in there I used to have. And I used to hold my socks up to it before a stream, so my feet... Well, they always froze, but so they froze more slowly than they otherwise would have. So A Way Out. Shadow, I don't know if you agree. You were there. I think it belongs in... I think it was too easy. I think there could have been more. Yeah, you agree. All right, Overcooked All You Can Eat. So this is a game I would recommend to anyone who fancies a multiplayer game. This is so fun. First played it with Shadow and Chris and Meow way back when. But whilst I couldn't do any multi-streams or anything like that, it's just something me and Meow did to keep ourselves busy. We got all the trophies in the first one, the second one, and then we bought the kind of multi-pack. Just for the hell of it, because you get all the DLC with that. And platinum that together, and it was, yeah, that was a really good time. There were a few really damn hard levels in it. And time is going to be a healer for a lot of these games. Because this one is in January as well. I feel like at the time it probably wouldn't rank this high, but it was fun. Plus driving me out of a cliff. We did do that, Dark. Well done. Well remembered. No, Jedi Fallen Order Star Wars is a game I played years before I was a streamer. And the boredom's really getting to me during my unemployment at this point. To the point, you know what, I think so little of this game, when I made my little look ahead posty the other night, I actually put the wrong image in there of Jedi Survivor. I'd done it here, I'd done it in that poster, and I just realized at the last minute, I don't have a platinum for Jedi Survivor, I've never even played it. Jedi Fallen Order, that first Star Wars game. At the time I thought it was alright, I was shit at it, really bad at it. Again, I was just killing time and mopping up the last few trophies. Some of them, though, like visit every spot in the map, and some of those maps are really complicated. It's getting an oof. Oh no, Shadow. Overcooked's a brilliantly designed game. And there's another plat coming up, which the game, whilst the same basis, I think pales in comparison. But first of all, we got to go with the big one. One of the big ones of the year. This one took me hours and hours. But it's good to kind of flaunt it. It's a good thing to say, because now everyone thinks I'm a stealth god. And they're right, to be fair. Hitman World of Assassination, a combination of the first, second, and third games of the Hitman reboot. Whilst it was fun, it is way overdrawn. You have to replay some of these levels so many times to get like every possible outcome and stuff like that. And it's brilliant game design that they gave you all these options. Though some of them, I don't know how anyone would have come across naturally. But having to go back and do everything over and over is a slog, man. It was a slog. And plus I had to do it for all three of the Hitman games. For the single platinum to count, right? Not fair, Shadow. Those old Metal Gear games, they don't count. They're still to be spoken about. So yeah, Hitman, I'm gonna have to put it in the UF section as well. I'm gonna put it above the other two. It'll let me. And then we come to moving out, right? Now this is the game I was talking about, Shadow. I don't know how you felt. Well, we played Moving Out too. I don't know if you ever tried the first one yourself. But I think Moving Out it pales in comparison to Overcooked. It's all right fun. And the first one was simple enough that it was easy enough, again, for me meow to kill time. But it's nowhere near as good as Overcooked. The chaotic element just isn't quite as high as Overcooked. Like when the orders start coming in and on Overcooked, it's like a real kitchen, man. It's how it can get. And you kind of die under the, or you collapse under the chaos. Whereas this, it's just like, nothing really changes. The timer just goes down, that's all. So it's Platinum, to be honest, it was quite easy. Kind of boring, and yeah, I haven't felt the same need to. I removed its shelf from the trophy cab. I don't feel the need to platinum. I didn't even feel the need to beat the second one. So it's gonna get a two. It's gonna get a 2 easy, I think. Now we're getting into the meat of it. Now the meat of the plats, and I'll say that the Resident Evil 4 platinum is. It's probably going to be a mostly awesome. I had the best time doing most of it. Like, we're about to touch upon the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters. I hate treasure hunt trophies. I really do. But at least Resident Evil 4 gives you a map of where they are. You don't have to look up online. But the hardcore S+ rank on Resident Evil 4 was so damn hard that I needed to use like a guide for every step of the way, and I hate games where I have to do that. But at least it's something for one trophy, because the rest of them were all kind of fun experiments, like not using the merchant or not using any heals, things like that. So Resident Evil 4 is going to get a mostly awesome for its platinum. And as I just think this is a guide for bullshit, you must have, Shadow. There's no way you could have known where every single one of those chests and hidden walls were for those little items. And items that sometimes are completely missable. You got one option to get them, area's locked off for the rest of the game. And like when it comes to using guides and walkthroughs and stuff, I don't mind it when I have to use it for like one thing or a portion of the game, but for an entire playthrough, it's especially kind of like, you know, longer games, like some JRPGs. What was that one in FF4 though, Shadow? What was the one with those pink blobs? There was something weird going on with those pink blobs. Yeah, those Flan princesses. There was some, like a rat's tail or something, wasn't it? The pink tail, yeah. And even then, it's a rare spawn. Like, shit like that is so annoying. Like, you must have known about that back in the day. There's no way I could have known about that, surely. Oh, interesting. I didn't know they kept it from there. But we can rattle these 6 off pretty quick. FF1, I remember, apart from the treasure ones, and that one fucking war mech, that's the other thing. The bestiaries, and some of them were really annoying. None of these are going to get a best time, because platinum-wise, they all had those. They all had the same trophies. I actually think they're kind of a bit lame with the lists sometimes. There's probably not that much I could have added. But yeah, all the bestiary and the treasure and the hidden item stuff, I think is quite annoying. So, but otherwise, these were mostly awesome. With the exception of one of them. So they can all go up there. I'm actually going to put 4, just for some of the ones in 4, Shadow. I think some of the ones in 4 are oof. Like that Flan Princess thing and whatever. But there's a couple of trophies in FF6, which I made a whole fucking video about. That Setzer thing. It's at the bottom of UF. It's at the bottom of UF. Although, maybe it should be at the top. Yeah, because then it's edging towards stupid that way. I'll put it above those. Yeah, utter bullshit, that Setzer thing. I kind of think the bestiary shouldn't have had that Siegfried in it as well. That was dumb. There was another one. Oh, there was another one that bothered me, but like nothing gets to me like that Setzer one. For Platinums, I'm going to put FF6 above Tony Hawk's in stupid. I think that was dumb as shit. Something so random should not be a trophy. Having to rely on luck, exactly, yep. It's going in stupid. Now, Final Fantasy 16. In terms of its platinum? Yeah, yes. No, I had to get good and get lucky, because getting good's not enough. You also have to get lucky. And the game has to let you be good. Because most of the time it just says, nah, you suck. Oh God, I don't want to go into the rant again. Final Fantasy 16. I only had to play through it twice, and neither was all that challenging. I just kind of needed to know what I needed to upgrade stuff. It was the weapon upgrades, which I didn't find particularly that interesting anyway. The fact that I only had to play through it twice made it not too bad. So yeah, I think for a platinum, it's actually a decent list. I'm going to put 16 at mostly awesome down the bottom. Now, there's a couple on this list that are re-platinums, and Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, the North America version, I had to redo because, well, I only had to start it just to get the data for Rebirth coming up so I can get extra summons. But once I started it, I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to platinum this thing again. I don't want it sitting on my trophy list at like 10%. So I went and did the whole thing again, and I absolutely loved it, and it's going right at the top and in front. The Spider-Man 2 plat is unquestionably, it's so easy. This trophy is so easy to get, this plat. Apart from one. There's one thing which I think is bugged, which might have been fixed by now. I went into it on one of the streams. One of the side quests with one of the enemy, well, he's not even an enemy. One of the side quests was just a bit weird. Because it's like, well, these typical side quests, you've got to do 10 of something dotted all around the map. And 9 of them were fine. One of them was fucking nearly impossible. And I had to put the game on the easiest difficulty. And you can even reduce the speed of gameplay. I had to put that at 30% speed gameplay to even have a chance of doing it. The rest of them, it's all fine. Put it like normal difficulty, like 100% speed. So I reckon they might have nerfed that. By the way, if we count it, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Final Fantasy Platinums this year. Not that bad. Tell you what, I've missed one off this list. I've missed the Metal Gear 1 and 2 Platinum here. And we can say that's just an oof, because you only had to play through the games and do that boss survival thing. In terms of a platinum, they were nothing. Didn't have to go out of my way. Do everything on the easiest difficulty. But they're enough because I had to play the games, and they were terrible. But Metal Gear Solid, I'd say it was mostly awesome, because most of them were trophies, like story trophies. So that, you know, they come automatically, and then there was just that one which really ramped up the difficulty, which you never even saw, so don't worry about it. It's mostly awesome, Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid 2, on the other hand, is a big fat oof. It's going down the bottom of oof. It's so damn hard. One of the trophies in there, Metal Gear Solid 2. Give Metal Gear Solid 3. It's going up in mostly awesome. Admittedly, I didn't use a guide, but I did print a bunch of shit for all the collectibles, and I had Meow read it to me. So rather than have a guide, well, I had a real guide. I had Meow next to me saying, okay, next area, you need to get this, 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 and this. And that was far more fun than pressing start and stop on a video. And here's another re-platinum this year. So y'all remember Meow was streaming Resident Evil 7, right? Not too long ago. Well, she cancelled our PS Plus subscriptions, said we weren't using them enough. But with that, we actually lost access to Resident Evil 7, so she couldn't finish streaming it. Because we had it on PS Plus, she never realized. So I was like, oh, screw it, we'll just buy it. I'll probably play it again one day. And at least this way, I'll buy the PS5 version, so the load times are gone. You get to experience it PS5 quality. So of course I thought, well, I'll just load it up and see if all my trophies pop, like's happened on PS5 converts of Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil 2 and 3. But only some of the trophies popped for me on Resident Evil 7, and it even warns you about that. Not all trophies transfer properly. So it's like, well, I'm not having that. I'm not having a 75% complete list when I've done everything. But it still had all my saves, so I went back. Within about 3 hours, I had got all but one trophy, which was to make every combination of something with chem fluid, which required about half a playthrough. So the next day I finished it off and got Resident Evil 7's Platinum again. But for the hell of it, we'll count it as an oof, because I have done it before, and playing this game on Madhouse difficulty is no joke. But I wouldn't say it was as long and grueling as Hitman. Yeah, it's been a good year for Platinums. How many is that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, and 23 for the missing one, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. 23 plats, but honestly, I think I'm going to ramp it down next year. All that's left on the shelf is the 2 FF7 remake games. One's nearly out, the other one's years away. I don't have much desire to do much more trophy hunting, unless, you know, Metal Gear puts out another master collection. So there we are. That's my Platinum enjoyment list. 7 remake again. 7 reunion. And Overcooked All You Can Eat. So much fun. But that's one list. We got another. Told you this would be a shorter stream. Don't worry about it. You'll be able to get drunk in plenty of time for New Year's. Oh God. Right. So this year. So we, like I said earlier, we restarted streams in March, I think, or April. Although my first stream back was actually a Hitman level I had not played. It wasn't required for the Platinum, so I saved it for that. So that was my return. But then we had to pick up where we left off 6 months ago in Home Sweet Home. There was a 6-month gap between streams 1 and 2 of Home Sweet Home. And I very nearly called it quits, if I remember right, on that stream and said, fuck this. I want to play Resident Evil 4. But we got it done. We didn't find Jane, as I remember. And like I was saying to you yesterday, Shadow, there's a sequel to it and it's not on PlayStation, so I guess we're just not going to find Jane. Anyway, let's take a quick breather. I'm going to go grab a beer. Watch the ball drop. Is that the term you use? In Scotland, they all say bringing the bells. I don't know what that means. Hitman was oof, only because it was so long. It's 3 games in one, and it makes you replay the levels so many times. It took me weeks, man. Weeks when I was unemployed. Just what, like, I'd spend a whole day whilst I was at work just doing one level. FF2 there. Where's me tell? Look, in terms of a Platinum, it wasn't that hard, as I recall. And I did say time is going to be kind to some of these games for Plats. Because that's April I played that. You know, we're talking, fucking hell, 6, no, what's that? 8 months ago, man. Bloody hell. What's wrong with Overcooked? Me and Meow. By that, I mean Meow was excellent at managing things. She just shouted orders at me and I just did what she said. She had trouble with platforming, was her problem. Which of course I was excellent at. But when it came to actually like, this is what we need, this is what we need. It's what she does every night at work. Exposition. Or expedition. Yeah, expediting, right? Expedition. I mean, there's probably some exposition involved as well. She always calls it Expo. And there's not an O X there. Where was the... Okay, so this is the games we have streamed this year. I was saying before the break, I came back with one Hitman stream, which we nailed. The one level I didn't have to play for a plat, so I saved it. Then we got back to Home Sweet Home after a 6-month break. The streams of Home Sweet Home, I think it was only one stream it took to beat it, to not find Jane. And I remember it being, I'm going to put it in stress. I mean, it's somewhat of an indie game, right? It's a horror walking simulator. You can't ask for too much. What? What's wrong with that? By the way, it's utter crap. Do you think? Well, we'll see what else ends up in stress, and I might be tempted to pop it down there. But look, right? Let's get one thing out of the way right now. Okay? Courtesy of Malezra, that was utter garbage from start to finish.
Yeah, baby!
I even had to do off-stream grinding for the good life. Smacking my head against this table here. No, that's what I was saying, Seth. I don't remember entirely how infuriating things were. I remember a good life, but I don't remember. I do remember I almost jacked it in Home Sweet Home. I almost called it a day. Maybe I had to use you lot for help, but I forget games really quick, for better and worse. It makes replaying games more fun for me because I don't remember everything. But at the same time, yeah, I'm like, Home Sweet Home, it wasn't that bad. I could probably watch a stream of me and be like, oh my god. So we were saying for the Platinum Trophy, apart from, well, Resident Evil 4 got a mostly awesome because it was one trophy really that made it super fucking hard. However, to play the game itself, the streams we did of it and everything, it can't not be there. All out fun. Such a fun time playing that game until that last trophy, and then I was really suffering with it. Not that it wasn't, it's just that I wasn't, well, I was good enough because I got the trophy, didn't I? But it was really hard. Yeah, and whilst we were distracted, Seth, I was saying, like, treasure hunting is never a fun thing for me when it comes to trophies. I hated it in World of Final Fantasy on the last list, and all the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters all had it. But at least RE4 gives you a map. That makes that one somewhat bearable. And I really enjoyed, like I was saying, some of the screwing around with no merchants, no heals, all the rest of it. So yeah, all out fun with Resident Evil 4. Oh yeah, they had maps, but they didn't have treasure maps. It didn't say this hidden item is exactly here, did it? In fact, the only way and it even told you where you missed them. That's true, it did have that. But it didn't always tell you at what point of the game can you get this, because it's like you could go to a beginning game area, and it's like you look it up or you search around for fucking 2 hours and it's like there's nothing here. It's like, oh yeah, that's not available until after this story point happens. So if you ask me, that little counter shouldn't have been there until it was actually viable. Again, the amount of like research I had to do in my own time for all that treasure shit and the hidden items, it just annoyed me. That's why, but look, they got mostly awesome, most of them. We've already spoken about 6's stupid one. But whilst we've got some FF music playing here, I streamed these all mostly one after the other, with a few Resident Evils sprinkled in there. These were all really good times to play and stream. I had more fun than I thought I was gonna with FF1. There was a few annoyances here and there, a few gripes, but I thought FF1 was great. FF2 is good times. It wasn't as good. Some things in it that annoyed me. Or it didn't annoy me. It just didn't feel as good as the first. And that's like, it's no secret to anyone, is it? Oh, you better believe I use those XP boosts on every single one of them. Both in utter crap. Oh, what about this charmer of a game though? This 1996 classic. It's funny, man. I said in a recent look ahead, I don't play retro games much. Look at them all. There's retro games everywhere this year. But where do we stand on Resident Evil 1, the original 1996 version? As much as I doled it up, with the emulator, put some new textures in there and that. It's pretty fucking rough. But it's not unplayable. I would argue, I feel like Metal Gear Solid felt more unplayable than some of these. Tank controls are old, but they still work. Take that back. I mean it, man. Like, in terms of how playable I found them in today's landscape of gaming, I couldn't believe how rough MGS1 felt. And we'll get onto it. It's coming up. Whereas Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, for how playable they were, I could live with it. MGS1 was obviously shooting way higher than, especially RE1, and as a result, it kind of suffers from it now by being limited, pushing the technology of the time to the absolute limit, whereas RE kind of kept it simple, and simple kind of still works, if you can get around tank controls, which, you know, I can. But all in all, like, RE1 still feels really rough. It's very charming with its terrible dialogue and voice acting, and I don't remember having a particularly hard time with it. So I'm gonna put it in, I'm gonna give it a good times, I think. Probably ahead of Final Fantasy II. Final Fantasy III, on the other hand, the music specifically I absolutely loved. I thought it was just, it felt like just a better version of FF1. And it's still, it's like the second best of the Pixel Remasters experience for me. I'm not saying games, we've already done that. As far as like the first experience, that has to go probably ahead, yeah, they're ahead of FF1. And I'm trying not to, yeah, I'm not judging these on their trophies or anything like that. Just like the experience I had, the streams and stuff. FF4, man, again, such a good soundtrack. That is high praise for FF3, but we're not done yet. It's not over yet. FF4, I said at the time, it felt like the, no, I shouldn't. Don't forget, this is in terms of my playthrough and how I played it, which was with an XP boost. So that is being calculated into all of these games. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, all of these were down in stress for the amount I had to grind without ×4. But FF4, I really love some of the music in that. I liked, it was like the first proper story of an FF. It was the first like ATB system that I'm more familiar with. I always got irksome about the constant swapping out with the 4th or 5th character. It's going in good times, and it's going to go ahead of Resident Evil. But for me, it wasn't quite up there with FF3 and 1. Now, Resident Evil 2. RE2. Is there anyone in the world that thinks RE1 is better than RE2? Well, the thing you've got to remember as well, Seth, is all these Final Fantasy games are technically games from 2023. They're remasters. What I was playing was slightly prettied up by modders, games from the 90s. Yeah, exactly. Resi 2 is an upgrade in every way. I'll always love the setting of the mansion, probably more than any setting since. But it's not all about that, right? I think... Where does Resident Evil 2 lie? It's definitely the best of those three. Definitely. I think the only thing I love more of 1 than 2 is the setting and that first... Yeah, first scene in the zombie, right? See, there's some stuff like that. I think the Spencer Mansion is amazing. It's funny though, like if we think about their... What song is this? Oh, it's still Spider-Man. If we think about their remakes, I honestly think, probably because it's so closer to the original release, I think RE1 Remake completely, almost entirely replaces its first one. Whereas I don't think 2, certainly not 3, and not 4 either, they don't replace their originals, but I think 1 kind of does. Exactly, yeah. You got the liquor drop from the ceiling. I think 2 is going to have to go. I don't remember having a really hard time with it. I'm probably going to put it. I'm going to put it there, top of good times. That's right, yeah, the chief of police being so creepy. That was kind of unnecessary, I think, to make him that creepy. I don't know if we have to bring those kind of subjects into a Resident Evil game. Yeah, like the character was good. It's just like one of the documents I read just had some stuff in there like it didn't need that. I get it. Just call him a bad guy. I don't need to read out loud this shit, man. It's fucking weird. And I think in some versions, what I did read out had been like censored in some regions, but whatever version I got, it was completely uncensored. I already said earlier, I think Crisis Core Reunion was the biggest surprise for me. Let's call that of 2022. Because even though I platted it this year, I did beat it last year. Biggest surprise of 2022, Crisis Core Reunion. Biggest surprise of this year for me, Final Fantasy V. It just seems like kind of this one that not everyone talks all that much about. Certainly in terms of 4, 5, and 6, it's kind of the one that's missed. Probably because it's, I think it was the one that didn't get a North American release as well. That won't help it. I think it's the one I enjoyed playing the most. It's the one I enjoyed platting the most. So it's going up there. It's all the way up there, Final Fantasy V for me. I loved it. I think maybe its music wasn't quite up to the standards of 3. I think 3 had a better soundtrack all around. But then again, it did have Gilgamesh's theme in there. So like that wins it back like 1,000 points. So Final Fantasy VI, let's break some hearts now. Playing this game?
Hurts, don't it?
It's gonna hurt, man. Final Fantasy VI, streaming this game. You all know I have a pet peeve when it comes to gaming, and it's a lot of reading. And there's so many characters in this, I couldn't even be bothered to do voices anymore. So in terms of the streams, this is the one of the Pixel remasters I had played before as well. I played 4DS remake, but I played the Steam version of 6, so it's one I had experienced before, so I wasn't like hugely excited to do it again. It's gonna go in meh, alright. I mean, I had an alright time playing it. But that's not to say what I thought of the game. We've already done that. We've already done it. It's in another list. Alright, where'd you all sit on Resident Evil 3 Nemesis? Although I should just say, for FF6, it was a joy to listen to that soundtrack. Pixel Remastered. Love 6's soundtrack. I agree, but only because the FF7 Sephiroth Row. Well, I think we wrapped that one up well and truly. Pap. I don't know what pap means. Is that in the middle or what? It must be a new word they've invented in Britain I haven't been around to hear yet. Pigeon pap doo-doo shit. Right, okay. I mean, I don't know that I thought it was that bad. I remember at the time thinking this, you know, so many haters for RE3 Remake, which I played years ago. I was kind of expecting them to be defending a classic or like some epic game. And it just wasn't that. It was nowhere near as good as RE2. I would say it wasn't even as good as RE1. I preferred RE1 over RE3. How Resi 3 is not 2. I mean, yeah, because it feels like it should be similar. But it feels like it's what DLC would have been back in the day. I think that was kind of it was meant to be a spin-off originally. And they abandoned that. Code Veronica was robbed of its Resident Evil 3 title in favor of Nemesis. Anyone remember this song? Yeah, in terms of the remake again, I think 3 Remake should have kept more stuff from it. It would have done well to do so. It should have been made by fully by Capcom in-house, because that's pretty much all's gone well up till now. Giving it away for someone else to do doesn't seem to have worked very well from... Definitely, Nemesis working in an unpredictable way, to an extent, would have been better than him just being a thing that happened, a scripted event. So So I can see why people do say that this is superior to its remake. But in terms of that trilogy, it's definitely, for me, it's in the meh, all right category. Right, Final Fantasy 16. We've been through this. I'm still nursing back to health. My poor square button went through all sorts of punishment during this playthrough. Final Fantasy 16, I thought, in just some ways it was a bit of an undercooked game. I feel like I haven't even bought the DLC for it yet because A, I know there's more coming. B, I'm half expecting them. They might go like what 15 did and integrate more gameplay options in it, in which case I'd be more willing to try it again, because the gameplay is, for me, where it kind of fell down. I know a lot of people love this game, and yeah, John Ultima was cool, but for me, it's really always boils down to gameplay for me, and I just wasn't feeling it. It's definitely in the meh, all right. It was a bit long as well. I don't think it needed to be that long. Just either it needed to commit to action or RPG, not be some kind of half-baked thing either way. And it needed, I think, more options in battle. I felt a bit limited. So yeah, it's in the male right category. Oh, Seth, look what's up. Maybe we should just, nah. But seriously. No, let's remember, this is what my experiences with them. And you completely hit on something many people did, actually. Like Mao and Spy as well, who had played the game before me. Meow as well. For one thing, I didn't stream probably about 75% of this game. I played it myself. Which is where I found the real fun in this game, was doing the shrines. But you said it, as many others did, that I didn't really take in everything the game had to offer. And I didn't want to either. Like, I think the things they introduced with, we're talking about Zelda here, Tears of the Kingdom. The things they introduced, the mechanics, I think are revolutionary, right? I've never played anything like it, and I think they're incredible. However, me as a player, it can become a bit too much. Like, who's that dude with the signs everywhere around the place, and he wants you to fix every sign? Do you know who I'm talking about? And I don't know how many of them there are, but I must have done like 3 of them and thought, no, that's fucking it. I'm not doing any more of this. There's a bloke issue for sure, right? I mean, yeah, that was part of it for me. You did 3 of those dudes as well. Oh, snap, man. Because it's just like, I don't need this much. And there's nothing wrong with that. Game doesn't make you do it. Game doesn't make you do anything, really, other than beat it. Which is an incredible thing as well. There's no linear story to follow or anything like that. You play it your way, and that's an incredible thing. But I played it my way. I played it to a point where I thought, I've had enough. Let's just see if we can beat it now. I couldn't, so we abandoned it for a bit. Me, under the guise of Meow, did a bit of homework off stream and got me a bit more prepped for it. A whole bunch of stuff. She lit up the whole fucking underground, which I never even visited again, I don't think. The Sunday Lion incident, right? Hey, well, she said, oh, you should be fine. What did she say? 15 minutes? 2 hours in, and I'd only done the first bloody... I think we were trying to get that last... fella, whatever, the robot fella. She said 15 minutes she'd be done. 2 hour stream. All went to shit. 2. Yeah, like, you want to go in there at least like 4 or 5, didn't you? Yeah. I hope you're taking notice, Shadow. By the way, I was very surprised. Not that I've played almost any of the other games of the official Game of the Year thing. I was very surprised Zelda didn't win it. No notes? Okay, you do it your way. Don't worry, Shadow. 2 Sunday lines will be enough. Because, like, yeah, I can't sing Zelda's praises high enough. However, for me playing it, I thought it was... I'd say I had a good time with it. I didn't experience all of it. That's my fault. To an extent, I felt like I'd had enough. I definitely enjoyed some things of it. I don't think I could do it a third time. I think even though the new mechanics are cool, it still kind of felt like I was playing Breath of the Wild again, but like with new mechanics. Like, you know, the game engine feels exactly the same. Traversal feels mostly the same. Obviously, they've invented the things you can build, which I just didn't get into enough. Everyone kept telling me there's this cool two-wheeled bicycle thing you can use, and I had no idea how to build it. So yeah, I will fully admit that I did not experience Zelda Tears of the Kingdom to its full potential, and for that I had a good time with it, but nothing more. I would probably put it after RE2. RE2 is more my kind of game. Oh my. So the next one, Dead Space, I don't think is a bad game at all. I think it looks like really, really cool. It looks cool. The gameplay mechanics, I just not long come off of, well, what, Zelda? Oh, not this song. But yeah, I played a few games that are pretty old, and suddenly I'm playing this new game, but it still feels like an old game. I guess because it's like a one-to-one remake of what could now be considered an old game. I think I was expecting more of like the feel of RE4 with a quick turn, maybe some kind of dodge or parry mechanic. I got none of that. I got about, what, maybe a quarter way into that game before I had to dip the difficulty down to easy. For whatever reason, me and Dead Space just did not get on. The second I was done it, the day after I sold it. I never want to play it again. But I don't think it's a bad game, and we've had people like Gonzo and that who've said, you know, they love it. Brilliant game. But it just was not for me. I can't... It's purely my experience with it. I can't bring myself to put it in utter crap. But if I look at the list of games on here, yeah, it's above Home Sweet Home, but it's like right down the bottom of games I've played this year so far. We've got a few stinkers coming up though. I mean, well, I don't know if either of you guys have played Dead Space. Shadow, I don't think you have. Another reason I bought it was, like, I think I've done a ton of retro shit. We should probably play some more stuff from this year. Obviously, we had FF16 and RE4 in there, and Zelda. But like 3 games, and all the reviews were fucking rave for it, man. Right, okay, yeah. I sort of feel that. And I didn't have any nostalgia for the first one to walk in with. Yeah, I honestly, it was just one of those ones I couldn't wait for it to be over. I was desperate to get it done. Now, I wouldn't normally include DLC in this list, but Separate Ways from Resident Evil 4 has got like some of the missing stuff from RE4 Remake that it cut from the original. But it's just such a fun time on its own. The gameplay mechanics are different enough that it doesn't feel like the exact, like just a different skin for Leon. You do see a woman's back in that. That's a plus. Or are you talking about Dead Space 2? Because, I mean, I'm looking at a picture of Ada here and I can see her back. Covered. Yeah, RE4 Separate Ways. It was the fact that it had a trophy, a time completion thing. What do you call it? Like, beat the game within a certain amount of time, and it gave you longer than RE3 main game did. So if we're going to consider RE3 Remake a real game, then we have to consider RE4 Separate Ways, because it took longer to beat that than it did RE3. But yeah, it felt different enough from RE4 main game, for me anyway, with the new mechanics in there. Obviously all the areas are the same, most of them are anyway. The enemies are mostly the same. Obviously there's a few new bosses in that. I just had such fun with it. It's, again, it had another fucking ruthless trophy in there. But yeah, I have to put that one in all out fun next to the main game. Honestly, man, whatever they do next with remakes or whatever, I feel like, I really hope they, imagine, right? Think if they're going to do RE5 again, you got 2 characters there that can do some cool stuff. co-op it, there's your new RE5. Not that I necessarily think RE5 needs a remake. I didn't think RE4 needed a remake. But if they're gonna, it would be hard for me to play another Resident Evil game now without that knife parry attack. I couldn't get enough of it. Except when I missed, then it sucked. Now look, I didn't say much about it, but yeah, The Good Life, it's down there for a reason. It shouldn't really be spoken of. It was a gift. It was for a joke. In comparison to the Deadly Premonition games, it's worse than those two. Of all the sweary games I've played, those three, this is by far the worst. I would never ever recommend it to anyone unless you have like absolutely nothing to do with the rest of your life and you don't like any other kind of game. It is a blight on humanity, and just don't bother. Don't bother. Absolute shit. I should have made another class for it. Spider-Man 2. This was an interesting one because, and I think I echo a lot of people's thoughts here, it felt almost too similar to the first one for a good portion of the game, at least until you get the Venom stuff, and it just feels like, here we go again. And it's not that again is bad. If Spider-Man 2 had released and everyone in the world had no idea that the first two existed, the first one and Miles Morales, it would have been brilliant. But because those two already exist, it doesn't feel like that big a step up, at least until the Venom stuff, and that happens quite a good bit into the game. For a good chunk of this game, the coolest thing is the loading times and the fact that you can switch between two Spider-Men who have slightly different movesets. It's nice to play, it's fun to play, but sometimes you just want it to put his hand down your pants and have a bit of a rummage, just spice it up. But it really felt like it was just getting into an old comfy sweater, you know? So it was the same old. It really is, man, for a good portion of the game. I can't remember if it was officially announced. I think it was that they're going to do one more or something like that. If it's one more, I'll give it a go. But if I hadn't heard that and I just think they're just going to keep putting these out like Assassin's Creed or something like that, then I wouldn't bother buying another one. I would know in my mind it's going to be an easy platinum for sure, but it's not worth it. It's just, it's so samey. Absolute banger, this song. So I'm going to put this in at the top of meh, all right. At least the story was pretty cool. Actually, I can't do that. I've got to put it in good times, but down the bottom. Metal Gear Solid 1. Metal Gear Solid 1. Man, for all the jank I complained about earlier, it was still fun to play, and I said this in the Twin Snakes stream. I kind of missed how shit they looked, and how kind of jank and budget everything felt. I sort of missed it. It isn't by any means, for me, a fun game to play, but it's kind of funny to look at. Its story is still pretty sweet, and it's doing what Kojima's kind of famous for, is shooting far above its weight and far above what perhaps the console and even its developers are capable of. But yeah, in terms of stream content, we got that fucking line. And it brought us nothing but joy forever. Hello, Spy. And Johnny from that stream, me hearing that line for the first time and chuckling, and Johnny lives on in this stream forever. Perhaps more personally, it was really cool for me to have a way to, even though the Master Collection is not nearly as good as it could have been, it was good for me to revive this series, which I love so much. I finally had a way to bring it back, because since I finished Platinum years and maybe 5 years ago, the Metal Gear franchise has been dead, and I've had nothing to do with it but forget it until now. A bit of life breathed back in it was nice, and a way for me to viably play Metal Gear Solid and experience it with you lot as well was it was all out fun. Some parts of it were stress, specifically later on when I did the trophy hunt, but I'm going to put it in front of Final Fantasy 1 actually. So the song we just heard was from this gem of a game, Metal Gear. Metal Gear. Now, we got a couple of interesting ones here with Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. Do you like my hat, Spy? It came like this, and it's not a reused asset, slightly repurposed. Yeah, you choose to believe that, exactly. It's the truth, my son. Right, so Metal Gear 1... I tell you what else is going in the Good Life box. I think it goes ahead of the Good Life, but my god, I thought Metal Gear 1 was utter crap. I hated it. I thought it was fucking shit. I was expecting it to be somewhat playable, just maybe a bit cheesy, a bit easy, and a bit laughably bad, but my god, was it a grind, even on it easy. Jesus. So yeah, Metal Gear, it's got to stay down there. Like, it's from a series I love. So I feel the thing I feel bad about is that Michael Biehn is there, and I feel bad because I think he's a lovely guy and a great actor. It feels bad putting Michael Biehn down there. The story's trash, the gameplay is crap, the music's hard to listen to. And I hope I never ever have to experience it again, unless in the form of a remake. The sequel to Metal Gear 2, there's some gameplay improvements in there. There's some game design elements in there, level design, which is worse. That fucking swamp. Well, those kids. That swamp. The pool of piss where you melt in. I'm sorry, but it's slightly ahead of Metal Gear 1. 100% yet slightly better, but it's still utter crap. I can't believe it, man. For a franchise I love so much, I have to put the two first games of the series in utter crap. But I would so love to have seen them remade into something decent. But talking about Metal Gear Solid remakes, the last game we streamed this year, Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. My analysis at the end of this was, it's not as bad as they say. And I actually had a good time with it, man. It misses a lot of the charm. Like I said earlier, I can't. They look shit in a weird way in this. They don't look shit in a charming way because that's what was available at the time or whatever, like in Metal Gear Solid. They look worse than the MGS2 characters. Like, I can't believe what they did to Otacon. I don't know why they didn't just reuse his character model from MGS2. But instead he looks like he's mated with a frog, and that's the child. They borked the Johnny line. They borked a lot of stuff in this, man. Getting rid of the accents kind of made it a bit lame. Some of the dialogue, whilst the same, was just read more boringly. The game looked good, almost made you want to play the series. That's the thing, man, to play it. Oh, I know this song. Sounds like Hitman. Yeah, in terms of playability, man, some of the shit is broken. The boss battles, some of them are completely broken by the new mechanics. But with the old game design, it's just underdeveloped. And yeah, so my thing at the end was, I feel like it's not so much a remake as it is like an awesome mod. It's like a really cool mod, even though, you know, it is more, it should have been more than that, but it feels like a really brilliant mod. Someone took Metal Gear Solid 2's engine and threw Metal Gear Solid 1 in there, and it's pretty cool. But as an official release, it is a bit underwhelming in some regards. But if I was to, and I said this last stream, someone's coming to me, which one do I play? Metal Gear Solid, The Twin Snakes. I've never played a Metal Gear game in my life. I want to start here. I would still say play the Twin Snakes. You might as well. The story's almost identical, and it doesn't feel jank as hell. You know, if they, let's say they're born in the PS3 era, they're not going to want to go back there, I don't think. Yep, first-person shooter mechanic, it breaks so many elements. You can shoot all the turrets that are a problem. You can shoot people from a distance. The only thing I couldn't fucking shoot was that bastard rat that had my PAL key. All right, so there we have it. got a couple of awards I want to give. We got the whole list up now. So I was saying, yeah, most surprising game of last year, undoubtedly Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and most surprising game for me this year is Final Fantasy V. There you go. Feel free to drop categories for me if you want. I'll do Game of the Year last, though I feel like it's fairly obvious. Worst Game of the Year, played The Good Life, undoubtedly. Best Music Award. Okay, so are we counting... I feel like we should. I feel like we should count the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters in here, because they're an official 2023 release. Well, let's just count the games I've played this year, shall we? Most infuriating game segment is the swamp in Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. Undoubtedly. Actually, there could be some shit in Dead Space. A room where I had to float around. There was a bit where all my limbs kept coming off. Most infuriating shit. Some of it is in Dead Space. Some of it's in Metal Gear 2. Really fucking annoying. What was the other one I just saw? Best music? Oh, man. Well, this song that's playing now just leads to remind me that I think the music in the original MGS is better than Twin Snakes all round, even though I like the boss themes, the new boss themes in Twin Snakes. I thought it was cool they did that, gave everyone a different boss theme, which the original didn't do, but I won't count FF7 Remake because that was a trophy. I didn't play it this year. 16 did have some bangers. Spider-Man 2 had a great soundtrack as well. So did Zelda. I mean, Zelda had... There's obviously a lot of sparseness with the Zelda soundtrack when you're traversing. There's not always music happening. Yeah, that was a weird choice. You're right. That end battle is the power of friendship sort of music. I think, for me, of the games I played this year, if we're counting even old games and shit like that, I think Final Fantasy III did it for me. The soundtrack in that was... It's just awesome. I think overall 6 has a better soundtrack, but I'd heard it for so many years before that. It was always in the orchestra set list and stuff like that. 3 really wasn't that much, so like there was so many good songs in FF3 I stumbled across. Yeah, that was such a banging part. I love that spy. Yeah, I don't know if I said that, like when we were in Montreal watching it, and they were like, they did One Winged Angel at the end, and the conductor like looks back at us to sing Sephiroth. It's good that. Yeah, I think if we narrow it down to games that aren't remasters or whatever, I think 16 would take it for soundtrack. It's just really well produced as well. Obviously it has a lot of fluff that's kind of forgettable, like most modern games these days. But it does have some bangers, you're right. Let's see, biggest disappointment for me personally is Dead Space. I wanted to like it more and I just didn't. Pretty obvious one for me, most anticipated game of next year, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I can't tell you, I feel sick. I feel sick thinking about it at night. Because, in fact, I think I'm more excited about this than I was about FF7 Remake. Because at the time, I thought it's just going to be, alright, cool, it's just the Midgar part of FF7 Remade. Should be alright, that, yeah. Looking forward to it. But now I realise that it's not really a remake and it's like a weird sequel in another timeline, and I don't know what's going to happen. And I keep seeing fucking news articles about it. So-and-so said this. And I'm just like, don't tell me, I don't want to see what they said. I can't wait for it. I guess we'll end it here, and I'll say that pretty obviously my game of the year is Resident Evil 4. And as someone who really didn't connect that well with the original one, having played it far, far after the original released, about 20 years, about 15 years after the original one came out. Pop up Zelda a bit. You say that 6 more times, you might get lucky. I wasn't expecting to like RE4 Remake as much as I did, and I was just blown away by it. It's for me the most enjoyable Resident Evil game to play. Perfect balance of like action and maybe not horror, but like, you know, it's not just shooting. Say like going back to Resident Evil 2 now, fuck me, would I miss the Resident Evil 2 Remake. I mean, I would miss that parry, the knife parry stuff. RE2, see, that's the game I would have held up the top until this came along. And Resident Evil 2 has the mood. I love the mood of RE2 Remake and stuff like that. It's great, but I had more fun playing RE4, undoubtedly. Just because of some of the gameplay elements. There's just more you can do in it, but there's not too much. Yeah, Shadow, and we've spoken about this before, you're not alone in thinking that. It's the whole reason I didn't play RE4 original when it didn't come out, because like that looks nothing like the Resident Evil I know of, like 1, 2, and 3. Or Remake and Zero, I think, were out by that time. So yeah, I just never bothered to play it. But yeah, playing this game this year, if you put to one side, well, maybe not you, Shadow, you know, if you didn't enjoy that much, I can't argue with that. Put aside like what feels like a Resident Evil game, or what you imagine Resident Evil to be, in terms of how much fun I had playing a game, yeah, it was a good game. I don't say this about a lot of things, even my favorite games of all time. But I actually think RE4 is, in my opinion, I think it's perfect. They're like, because for all like other games I like, or like, you know, absolutely love, I can always critique them pretty easily. The worst thing I can say about RE4, forgetting it is a part of a series and forgetting that it's a remake on its own merit, the worst thing about it is I think Ada Wong's voice character could have been better. That's the worst thing I can say about it. Absolute masterclass, they killed it either way, right? RE4 is the ultimate RE game in my experience. Only played RE6. Looking at the games I played, man, I didn't play a lot of horrible ones. Like, there's 3 down the bottom there. 2 I didn't enjoy that much. The rest had an alright time to an all-out fun time. Yeah, and the DLC, I mean, you know, it's up there in second place for how much enjoyment I had. So I'm so happy I get to be a lover now of RE4 like everyone else, but I'm a lover of the new one instead of the old one. There's also, man, I think 2023 has been a really good good year for games. Like, there's some stuff like Lies of P and Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate. Like, there's a lot of good shit people have spoken about that I've not even nearly touched. There's stuff from last year like Elden Ring, God of War and that I haven't been near either. So there's other like AAA titles and whatever I can probably sink into. You want to put Baldur's Gate team together, but Seth, you've got to get that platinum in Final Fantasy 14 first, no? You finished Ragnarok yesterday, amazing game, yeah? You recommend, Spy? To me specifically, I mean. You know the kind of stuff I like, so. Might be hard to string though, because they're always talking, okay. This song though, seems like a good way to end it. Spy, this should be taking you back to, and you, Seth, and Shadow, I don't know if you did much of it. Back to the shooting gallery, right? Ready? It's coming. Bonus round. Wasn't that bad, Seth? Apart from the mine thrower. can't get S rank. Yes, you can. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Watch a YouTube video for some tips. Well, sorry for ruining your new year, Seth. So there we have it, guys. For the platinums this year, I had found the platinums for Final Fantasy VI and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Stupid. Absolutely stupid. Disclaimer, I had a lot of time. The first few months of this year, I was unemployed and unable to get work. A hardish time, oof, one might say, with Hitman World of Assassination. A second plat of Resident Evil 7, Biohazard. Final Fantasy IV, World of Final Fantasy, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. But you know what? It was too easy. Some of them were too easy, including A Way Out, which I did with my good friend here, Shadow in the Darkness. Moving Out with Meow EMC, and Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2. Pump it up a bit, guys. Mostly awesome platinum times with Resident Evil 4 Remake, Final Fantasies 1, 2, 3, and 5, and 16. Metal Gear Solid 1, the Master Collection, and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. But I had the best times getting a platinum for Overcooked, All You Can Eat, Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and re-platinuming for the North America edition, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. I think, hello Eric, by the way. I think first time I actually beat Shadow. Isn't that how it went? You're into skating? I was when I was a younger man, Seth. Yeah, so I actually, probably before I met you, I actually streamed Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remastered. But the platinum was so fucking long to get, I gave up on it until I was here and unable to work. And I was just cleaning up trophies just to keep myself busy. And so I finished that. Sliver of health, yeah. But then we made up, we reconciled, and got the platinum together. It was fucking awful platinum. Oh, it was so bad. Because it's all EXP based, but the XP has a limit per run. So in the end, like, the best thing you can do is to just, like, do a certain combo. You hit your limit, you have to end the run and do the exact same thing about 500 times. Fucking unbelievable. Such a bad platinum. Anyway, but that was all of the plats this year. This year we streamed... How many games is that? This many games. Utter crap were The Good Life, Metal Gear, and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. Stressful. Grinding my gears were Home Sweet Home and Dead Space. Had an alright time though, it was alright that, yeah. With Final Fantasy 16, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and Final Fantasy 6. I had a good time though. Baby. I had a good time with Metal Gear Solid, The Twin Snakes, Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 2, Resident Evil 1, Original, Final Fantasy 4, Original RE2, and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which I forgot sneakily moved its way above RE2. But all out fun I had this year. A nice surprise was Final Fantasy 1. For meme-worthy sake, and just nostalgia, I guess, Metal Gear Solid 1. Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 5, and Resident Evil 4 is my game of the year, along with its DLC, separate ways. A viewer tier list. That would be a controversial one for sure. Bound to ruffle some feathers, but I'm considering it, Eric. Meow FDR for taking too many naps. I know, I honestly think the only stream of mine this year she watched was the last Twin Snakes one. Where is it? There you go, made that myself. No, I mean, it came like that, it's good. Top quality stuff. Thanks, Shadow. Yeah, and I wish you, whatever you guys are doing, whether you're staying in for a quiet one, whether you don't even care that it's just January the 1st, or whether you're going out to have a bevy or two like I am, I hope you have a tremendous New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. Thank you so much for spending so much of 2023 with me. Long may it continue. It's great having you guys part of the stream, and indeed part of my life. It's awesome. Great I get to do this. And I'll be back in 2024 with who the hell knows. But so with that, I wish you Happy New Year, everyone. And stay cheeky, eh? All right, see you next time, guys. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.